Hey, riders and racers, welcome back for another live stream. Today's live stream is the topic of recovery. So, what meal do you need to be having after a ride or after race day to make sure that you recover well? You're sharp the next day, you can get back into training, and if you're doing 2 day events, especially like I know there's a lot of 2 day enduros, then how to recover, how to make sure that you recover for day two. So, when we're looking at the recovery process, the the recovery process starts from the minute that you finish your ride or finish your race for the day. So if you're doing a 3 hour enduro, once that 3 hours is done, as soon as that 3 hours is done and you come in and you take your helmet off, that's when our recovery process is starting. Okay, this is when our body is going into, okay, we've got to try and repair ourselves from all the hard work that we've just done on the bike. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get our body from a catabolic state into an anabolic state. And pretty much what that means in simple terms is when you're training and doing exercise and you're out on the bike, your body's breaking itself down. Okay. And so what we need to do is we need to reverse that and we need to get it into building mode, okay, and repair mode. And so the way that you do that, or the first way to do that is through protein. So protein is your building blocks for your body. Okay, so when we do exercise when you go and ride, that's breaking down your muscles. It's fatiguing them. And so what protein does is helps those muscles to rebuild and repair themselves so that they can be fitter, faster, and stronger, and get you back to 100% for your next ride, or for your next training session, or whatever's next for you. So the way that we start that is first of all by using a protein shake. So the first thing that you should be doing when you come in from a ride or you finished your racing for the day is have a protein shake. Okay, preferably a whey protein if you're okay with dairy. The reason we use a protein shake instead of real food is because your body's still under stress from the ride or the race that you've done. So if you give yourself, like if you have a steak, first thing from coming in from your riding, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to digest the food and it's going to sit up here. And because it's going to sit up here, your body's not going to get the nutrients and the protein that it needs to start that recovery process. It's going to take a while for your body to calm down and to start rebuilding again. So protein shake is great because it's in liquid form. Our body doesn't have to do a whole heap of work to digest it and break it down. The protein's already broken down, or broken down into its smallest form, rather than having a steak where it has a lot more work to do. And that means we can start the recovery process a lot quicker. So the important thing there is that you get that in straight away. Okay, as soon as you come in from your ride or race, you get your protein shake within the next 5 to 10 minutes of when you're finished. So we can start the recovery process and get your body out of that breaking down mode. Okay, we don't want to keep it in that breaking down mode any longer than what we have to. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, could be a couple of hours later, it could be, hey Tim, could be an hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later. Once that stress response starts to reduce and you start to calm down, you'll get your appetite back. You'll actually feel like eating some food. So it could be between an hour to 3 to 4 hours after you finish your ride. That's when we want to get some really good food in. Okay, so keep in mind when you've been riding or racing, you probably haven't been eating a whole heap of food and getting a whole heap of nutrients in. Okay, you might be doing some of the things that I talk about on the other videos, but in comparison to a normal eating day, you probably haven't got as many nutrients in as you need to, and your body's probably been working 2, 3, 4 times as hard as what it normally does as well. So the end of the day is really the big part to recovery, because we need to give it all of the nutrients and all of the things that it's missed throughout the day when we've just been focusing on our riding. So how do you do that? So when we're putting a meal together, we want to have a portion of protein, a portion of fats, and a portion of carbs. Okay, and that's how we want to separate your plate. So protein would look like a good quality source of meat. Okay, it could be beef, could be chicken, could be pork, could be turkey, any type of meat that you enjoy eating. Okay, could even be some bacon if that's what you like. So we're going to have a portion of protein, and then we're going to have a portion of carbs. Okay, so complex carbs we're working with here. So complex carbs could be things like sweet potatoes, brown rice, quinoa, pumpkin. Okay, these are carbohydrates that are higher in starch that take a little bit longer for our body to break down. And that's what we want at that point in time. And then for fats, it could be a bit of avocado, it could be a handful of nuts, it could be some olives, it could be adding olive oil to a salad, or it could be a couple of eggs. So we want to use whole food here. Okay, so we've done our rapid energy, we've done throughout race day, and we've done at the end there with our protein shake. Now what we want to get in is some real whole food, which is full of nutrients. And the way that we get all those nutrients in is through using proper food. Okay, so that's why we're using steak, okay, instead of a protein shake. That's why we're using, good quality fats, and that's why we're using good quality carbs as well. Okay, so we're giving our body what it needs. Ultimately, this will probably be a bigger meal, okay, or will need to be a bigger meal than what you'd normally have. And the reason is because your body is burning a heap of calories on race day, okay, especially if you're doing longer enduros, 2-3 hour enduros, your body is burning a heap of calories. So I was talking to one of my riders yesterday, Chris, who does extreme enduros, and he wears his Garmin watch when he does the event, so it gives him a readout of how many calories. So for him, he's burning 1,200 to 1,300 calories, okay, going for a ride or race, which is a heap of calories to be burning in such a short period of time. So keeping in mind on a race day, you've probably had less food and less nutrients going into your body and less calories going in, but at the same time, you've burnt a lot more calories than what you would normally burn in an average day. So that creates a gap. So we want to make sure we fill that gap at the end of the day, and that's how we do that through having a big dinner. You might even need to have, depending on what your goal, hey Andrew, depending on what your goals are, body weight wise, if your body weight's okay and that's not something you're too concerned about, and you're fairly lean as it is, then we want to make sure that that gap that we've created during the day with burning a heap more calories and taking in less calories, we want to make sure that we even that gap out. Okay, and that's done at the end of the day. So you might even have two dinners. You might have, say, one meal maybe 2 or 3 hours after you finish riding, okay, or racing, and then you might have another dinner later on. This is obviously if you're finishing your event later in the day. Next thing is making sure with the protein you're getting enough protein in. So you want to have roughly 30 grams of protein, okay, for each meal. And so the reason protein is important is protein, again, is your building block, okay? So if our body is not rebuilding and using protein to rebuild itself, it's constantly breaking down muscle, okay? So it's either repairing muscle or building muscle, and that's one side, or it's breaking down muscle, okay? It's never just sits in the middle. So we want to make sure that we're getting good sources of protein in for each meal and consistently, and making sure that we're getting enough to make sure that we're keeping our body in that rebuilding, repairing phase rather than in breaking down phase. And what that's going to allow you to do is to keep the level of strength that you have and allow you to perform well then either to get back into training the next day, or like I said before, if you're doing a 2-day event, then you're good to go to get back into day 2. And like Fink, for example, you can wake up the next day and be ready to go, whereas everyone who hasn't got adequate levels of protein and their muscles are breaking down overnight, okay, and they're not putting themselves in the best position for day 2. Common mistakes that I see with recovering from race days, first of all, people not eating at all. And when I was racing, this was definitely me in that boat. It's like as soon as racing was finished for the day, so for me, I was racing motocross. It's like you might have traveled, half an hour, or even a few hours to get to the track. And when you finish race day, it's like, all right, pack up, tent away, bikes in the trailer, and then get in the car and get going. For us personally, when we were racing, we didn't hang around at the end of the day, okay? And it wasn't really a social thing at the end of the day. It was like, get in the car and let's go home, okay? We've got a big trip to do, or, go home, get the bikes out, wash everything, ready to go. Dad would go back to work on Monday, and then I'd be back at school, whatever I was doing at the time. So first thing I find is riders not eating at all at the end of race day. And so what happens is their body stays in breakdown mode. Hey, Andrew, their body stays in breakdown mode. Okay, so instead of flicking and going, okay, giving it the building blocks, giving it the protein shake, giving it the right food it needs to start repairing and rebuilding itself, for me, I was leaving it, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours without getting any food or any nutrients in at all. And so that means my body's just continually breaking down rather than actually having the building blocks to start the repair process. As I said before, that recovery process starts the minute you finish your riding and racing. That's when you need to be onto it. Second thing is mistiming foods. Okay, so not getting in the fuel straight away. So that was another common thing that we would do. So when we were traveling for racing, what we would do is you tend to get takeaway foods, right? Or things that are easy, things that you can get on the way home and eat in the car, or get in the car that don't take too much time. So the important thing to note is that the recovery process starts from when you finish your riding or finish your racing. Okay, so if you're leaving it 2-3 hours before you're getting food, or you're going, oh, like, you know what, I won't worry about it now. I'll wait, I'm going to eat soon anyway. I'll wait till I get home. And home's, you know, by the time you actually get your dinner and actually eat it, it's probably going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours, or even an hour. It's too long. Okay, you need to start that recovery process straight away. So invest in a good quality whey protein. The company I use at the moment is Bulk Nutrients. I'm pretty sure they sponsor the Factory Yamaha team, if I remember correctly, for Pro MX here in Australia. But otherwise, there's other companies you can use, like True Protein is a great company as well, and also Professional Whey. And they're all online companies. Okay, most of the proteins you get from the shop are shit. So check those companies out if you haven't already. Whey protein is what you're after if you can tolerate dairy. Third common mistake that I see is drinking caffeine, okay, or energy drinks on the way home. So you might be stuffed after a big day of riding, a big day of racing, like, oh, I've got to drive home, okay, or, you know, do whatever you need to do, get through life, look after kids, get ready for work tomorrow, unload trailers, all that sort of stuff. Now, caffeine is a stimulant, okay, so caffeine puts your body in breakdown mode, okay, but it also helps to give you energy and perform well. So as a stimulant, as an energy enhancer, it's great. Okay, you can have like a little bit of an energy drink or a bit of coffee before a race or a ride, or at the end of the day before a ride or before a race. But after a race, when everything's all done and your body's recovering, we need your body to relax. Okay, it's been under a lot of stress. It's been working hard all day. So what we need to do is calm it down, okay, and relax it and get it into a state of, all right. And when it's in that state, it's out of that stress response. When it's in the stress response, it's breaking things down, okay? Breaking muscle down, breaking fat down, burning through a whole heap of things. When we're starting the recovery process, we want to do the opposite, okay? We need it to calm down, okay? We just need it to relax and get back to its normal relaxed state so that it can start repairing itself and get ready for sleep as well, good quality sleep at night time. So if you're having caffeine, this does the opposite. We need your body to relax and to calm down and to chill so that it can start repairing and recovering. If we're having caffeine after a ride or race, what we're doing is we're amping it up. It's trying to do this and it needs to do this, and we're going blah, 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 like that and getting it all worked up and getting it breaking itself down again, okay, rather than rebuilding and repairing. The other thing that will do as well is we want to make sure that you have a good quality night's sleep afterwards as well. If you're having caffeine after your ride or race, chances are that's probably towards the end of the day in the afternoon. So if you're getting all of this caffeine in, it's going to affect your sleep to some level. Okay, number one, you might be really sensitive to caffeine and find that you can't sleep and you're awake all night. Even if you do sleep at night and you have caffeine later in the afternoon towards when you go to sleep, even if you do sleep all night, what you'll find is your sleep is a lot lighter. You don't get into the deep restorative sleep, which is what we want. Okay, most of the recovery is done for your body to get you ready for the next day through that deep sleep, not in the light sleep. So having caffeine in the afternoons or nighttime before sleep, it's going to keep you more towards a lighter sleep rather than the deep sleep, and the deep sleep is really what we want. So avoid, coffee and energy drinks at the end of your riding and race days. Have a decaf coffee, okay, or instead of having an energy drink, have something different. Okay, even have a Powerade or something like that, or some water. So just to recap here. So first of all, protein shake. Okay, you get a protein shake in after you're riding and racing. Okay, the recovery process starts straight away from when you finish racing. So use protein shake. Second thing, make sure you have a good quality meal, proteins, fats, and carbs. Okay, using the foods that I went through. Good source of meat, good source of carbs. Could be some potatoes, and good source of fats. Could be a handful of nuts. All right. Make sure all those nutrients that we missed out on throughout the day, we want to make sure that we're getting those in and getting our body to start repairing itself. And then the common mistakes. So don't get caught up in all of the bike stuff, okay? Get organized with your recovery, get a protein shake organized. Make sure you've got something there at the end of the day to start that recovery process straight away, okay? Don't go and get caught up with the bike and packing and all that sort of stuff that you forget about your body. Second is mistiming food, okay? That recovery process starts straight away. So start that straight away with the protein shake and then make sure you've got something to work towards for the next few hours in terms of some good quality food. Don't leave it too long. And then like we just spoke about, which is the caffeine, okay? Avoid caffeine. Caffeine's a stimulant. We don't want to stimulate your body at the end of race day. We want it to calm down and relax. So definitely don't have caffeine. And that includes things like Coke as well. Okay, Coke's high in caffeine as well. Um, so on the topic of nutrition, I am looking for 5 more riders that would want to lose 5 kilos or more, while only doing 3 gym training sessions per week without having to starve yourself to try and lose weight as well. So if that's something that you are interested in, feel free to click on the application form below that I just put in the comments for you guys. I'll ask you a couple of questions about what you're working towards, and then I'll give you a quick call and see if I can help or not. But otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and look forward to putting some more videos together. See you guys.